What's going on, guys? Aero here, and guys, I know I'm a little late to this news, but it is something important and I do want to give you guys my thoughts on it, and it has to do with the Nintendo Switch's specs. Now, a few days ago, we got a rumor that had a lot of information about what supposedly the Nintendo Switch's specs, and it had a lot of information about how the system's going to function when it's docked and when it's undocked, and I believe that this rumor came from Eurogamer, but I could be wrong about that. If you guys know where the rumor came from, you can let me know down below in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it originated from Eurogamer, and it gave a lot of information about how the system's gonna work, and it gave a lot of deep technical information. And now I'm not like a software engineer or anything, so I'm not gonna try to sit here and go through what everything might mean from that leak, because it's not on a common level. It's not something that someone would be easily able to understand. It's you really need to know your stuff to be able to understand what any of that means. But the general idea from what all of the information is saying is that the new Nintendo Switch is going to be less powerful than the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Now, I already know your reaction after listening to this.
Hey, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Oh.
Now, the thing that I want to talk to you guys about the most is why there's no need to freak out over the Nintendo Switch being a little less powerful than the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. I mean, the day that this leak came out, when I went on YouTube, I saw everybody making videos and talking about how the Nintendo Switch is less powerful than the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and how this system is ruined, how Nintendo's doing the same thing they did with the Wii U again, and how this system is already done from the start. And I mean, you haven't even given this system a chance. You haven't even seen the event that's going to happen on January 12th. You haven't even seen the system. It hasn't even come out yet. So I think we definitely have to give this system a chance. But I can see what you guys are talking about, because even though that I know that Nintendo isn't a power-based company, I was hoping, deep down that Nintendo might make the Nintendo Switch a little more powerful than the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, because, they are releasing the Nintendo Switch 3 years after the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came out. So it doesn't seem right to release a system that's less powerful than the system that came out 3 years ago. I can see why people might be a little disappointed. Plus, also, before the Nintendo Switch was even revealed, pretty much all the leaks and information that we were getting, I guess a lot of people just thought that the Nintendo Switch was going to be much more powerful, and it seemed like it was going to be a powerful system. And then after seeing these specs, they are much lower than what people expected. They weren't expecting a really powerful system anyway, but I guess they were just expecting a little better than what we actually got from this leak. But once again, I do have to tell you guys that this is just a rumor. I mean, even though it does come from a few credible sources, we don't know exactly everything here, but I guess it is still from a credible source, so we can pretty much kind of say that it is pretty much true. I guess you can believe it pretty hard. It's not it's just out of the blue or anything, but still, I mean, I think we should give this a chance. And I mean, Reggie says this himself, Nintendo isn't a power-based company. I mean, I'll play a clip for you guys right here. You guys can listen to this.
For us, it's not about specs, it's not about teraflops, it's not about the horsepower of a particular system. For us, it's about the content. Nintendo is a content-focused company. We create entertainment that makes people smile. So for us, we're focused on bringing our best entertainment to both the Wii U as well as the NX in the future. So for us, whatever Microsoft and Sony are doing in terms of talking about new systems, that's for them to fight out in that red ocean. For us, we want to make sure we're bringing our best content forward. And right now, the reaction to Zelda has been more than we could have ever imagined.
So you guys can see right there, Reggie talks about how Nintendo isn't a power-based company. They don't really care about what, how powerful their systems are. They don't care about teraflops or anything like that. They just want to give nice quality content for all of their people and all of the fans who like playing Nintendo games. Nintendo's not about making a powerful system, and I'm sure Nintendo took a lot of things into consideration when they were making the Nintendo Switch, because they really need to try to make the system as best as they can. They definitely do want to patch up their mistakes from what they did with the Wii U, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that they had to consider when they were making the Nintendo Switch. I'm sure if Nintendo really wanted to, they could have put a whole bunch of powerful software and hardware into the Nintendo Switch, and they could have made it the same thing that it is, the same function of having a hybrid system that you can play on the go and at home, and they could have put a whole bunch of extra hardware and made it a really beefy, powerful system. But the only problem with that is the price would have been really high for this system, and Nintendo doesn't want that. Nintendo wants the biggest amount of people that they can get to purchase the system. I mean, they could have made a really powerful system like I was talking about. They could have made a really powerful system, but then it would be like a $400 to $500 system, and nobody wants to pay that for a Nintendo system. Nintendo wants to make the most affordable system they can, but also a powerful system as well. And I mean, I can see why a lot of people are worried about the Nintendo Switch's specs. Now, I can say that I am also a little bit worried as well. I am not that much worried about the first party though, because Nintendo is always great with their hardware. I've never seen Nintendo be bad with their hardware. I mean, we already know that the Nintendo Switch is going to be more powerful than the Wii U. We already know that. We've seen that from the Zelda footage, and from what these specs are talking about in the leak, it's definitely significantly more powerful than the Wii U. So it is definitely more powerful than the Wii U. And I mean, a lot of people are talking about how the Wii U had garbage specs, but I mean, did you guys see how good Mario Kart 8 and how Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U looked on the Nintendo Wii U? It looks really good. So I'm definitely not worried about the first party support on the Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo always knows how to use their own hardware, and so I'm not worried about that at all. I'm sure all the games that come out for the Nintendo Switch by Nintendo, they are definitely going to look amazing on the Nintendo Switch, but I am a little bit worried about the third party support, because I do want third parties to come on the Nintendo Switch. Obviously we want to play our third party games on the Nintendo Switch, but I really want to make sure that they actually play really well. And if they don't look that good, or if there's some problem for people to have to work with the Nintendo Switch's specs, then it is going to be a little bit of an issue. I don't want games like Skyrim and stuff coming, but it doesn't look that good. And a lot of people were talking about how the Nintendo Switch, when you take it into portable mode, it's only going to be using 40% of the power and stuff like that. And I mean, I can see why a lot of people are talking about how it's not going to look good and stuff like that, but we haven't even seen that yet. I mean, you have to actually hold the controller in your hand and see how the game looks. I mean, when we saw it on the Jimmy Fallon show, when we saw Jimmy Fallon playing it, it didn't look like Zelda was actually looking that bad. It looked pretty good, and we were already getting information from their leaks, and it was talking about how it's going to be 720p, so it doesn't look like it's going to be that bad. I mean, obviously we have to see the frame rate and everything, but I mean, it's on a small screen anyway, so I don't think it's gonna look that bad. When you're playing on a small screen, you don't even notice that many things anyway, so I don't think it's gonna be that bad. So hopefully, as long as it's easy for third parties to bring over their games, and if third party games can look good on the Nintendo Switch while it's in portable mode and on the TV, then I think that it's not that big of an issue. And I mean, Nintendo, I'm not worried about the first party support. Like I said, first party support, I already know that it's gonna look great on there, and if third parties have an easy way of making sure that their games look good and that their games can run properly and they run perfectly fine on the Nintendo Switch, and when it's in portable mode and when it's in home console mode, then I think that there's nothing to worry about. Also, I'm sure that Nintendo had to downclock all of this stuff because they are conserving battery life. I think that's what the rumor said itself, and I can definitely see that, because portability and taking the system on the go, that is the main function of the system. That is what Nintendo is selling it as. The whole point of the system, the whole marketing and the whole selling point of this system is going to be, oh yeah, you can take your game on the go with you. You can take it in the car and on the plane and everywhere. And that's why Nintendo is trying as best as they can to keep, their software and not using as much power, so that they can get more battery life out of the system. And I definitely can see that. I definitely do understand what they're going for. And so yeah, I don't really know how the system is going to work yet, but after the January 12th event, we know that people are going to get hands-on time with the Nintendo Switch, and so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sources that are going to be giving us their thoughts on how they think the Nintendo Switch is going to function. There's going to be so many people like IGN and Game Explain. I'm sure a lot of other news outlets and media are going to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch, and we'll just have to listen to what they say. I'm sure that they're going to be one of the first people to get their hands on the Nintendo Switch, so we'll have to listen and see what they say on their experiences on playing it on the TV and at home and stuff like that, or not at home, on the portable mode. And so we'll have to see how they talk about it. And it's really soon, it's coming up, so yeah, I'm definitely looking excited to that. I am not worried that much about the Nintendo Switch, like I said, from the first party support about the specs. Hopefully third parties don't have to do that much and it looks fine as well. But yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I think we should still give this system a chance. Obviously specs are important, but let's have this system come out Let's see what people actually are saying about the system, and let's have like a proper look around it, and like let it come out and see how it all functions and everything before we give our final opinion on it. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Hopefully you guys understood what I was trying to go for, and if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to click that like button. It really does help me out. Be sure to subscribe for more Nintendo Switch content and other Nintendo content as well. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero, and thank you guys, thank you so much for watching.